do one thing. Let's move on. HDFC Bank is ready to launch programs under digital umbrella soon. In Q4 alone, the bank had 234 million visits on its website, which is an 8% year-over-year growth. To discuss this, Arvind, Kapil, the country head retail assets at HDFC Bank, joins in now. Arvind, thanks a lot for joining us. This growth has been pretty good. I mean, 8% on a year-on-year basis, and digital is the way forward. Tell us a little bit about the trends and what do you see as the big opportunity here, especially in retail?
Very good morning. I think as a bank, we see a very positive trend after the last 2 years of COVID, probably, which was a little bit of a limiting factor from the vehicle point of view, and last 6 months has seen some amount of supply side constraints of the auto manufacturers. But having said that, I think the outlook is extremely positive. Auto lending, despite the constraints last 2 years, has seen 15 to 20% growth rate. And we see that only going up from here in the next 3 years. India is all poised by this, the research says India is all poised by 2026 to be the third largest auto market in the world. I think keeping that as a backdrop, HDFC Bank has launched a complete end-to-end car loans, car express loans, which is a digital platform. What it essentially does, if I can take a minute, is today you walk into a manufacturer, dealership outlet, the customer chooses a car, he meets a financer, he starts the financing activity, and then he walks out after paying some amount of booking money for the car. So what HDFC Bank has launched today, you can actually walk into the dealership, choose your car, and assuming you are not carrying any documents whatsoever, you can close the loan in the next 10 to 30 minutes, disperse it within that 10 to 30 minutes, and walk out with your loan dispersed.
Got it. Got the point. The market, by the way, is now moving lower. Just keep one eye on that as well. Nifty down 170. But Arvind, good morning. I wanted to understand, how does this partnership with Paytm work? Is it just to sort of source customers, or do you have any long-term plans with them? And because my sense is that they would also be competing in the same space, right? So how does this work?
No, I think auto loans. We are one of the largest players in auto loans. So I think it's more incumbent on us also to constantly evolve ourselves. Because if you remember, when we had done the unsecured 10 seconds launch a couple of years back, it created and expanded the boundaries of the market. So digital today is not just about technology, it's about the customer convenience, and that convenience factor, in my limited view, is expanding the market and creating a fair amount of demand. And I think there's some responsibility in banks to do that as well. I think you have fintech players, you small banks, I think all are adding their due value. So I think right now, the product that I'm talking about is more to do with expanding and easing the convenience of the customers. And we have a very large franchise of liabilities ourselves. So imagine a customer of any account holder walking into my 6,000 branches and requesting that I want a car loan. I'm not an account holder. Imagine in 30 minutes he walks out with a loan.
So do you extend this partnership, or is it just a near-term sort of move that you've taken?
See, Paytm, to be fair, I personally don't manage it, but I gave you a broad perspective on the way we engage with multiple fintechs and multiple fintech partners, because we also want to expand and support that sector.
Right. Arvind, do you expect a material step up in sort of competitive intensity from HDFC Bank? I mean, across products, just getting a broad idea. And for auto loans, I mean, what kind of targets do you have in mind for growing the book?
Okay, let me take your second part first, and I'll come back to the overall from a retail asset perspective. Auto loans, we're growing in market share for the last 2 years consecutively. The plans, the very fact we're launching this kind of a product is to kind of penetrate people. See, what's interesting in the market today is that if you see from an economic point of view, your rural and semi-urban is credit offtake is almost 1.5 times your metro and urban. keeping that in mind, how are you going to reach these deeper geographies and penetrate into your products? You need these kind of digital platforms where either end-to-end digital online, where a person just comes and Google and does it, or even on an assisted mode, which will be a very big market initially. You will need these kind of products so that you don't make multiple trips to the customers, either for his KYC documents or for his, or he's not free and he asks you to come to his office or home. And I think that factor, if you can do it, I think it builds in multiple efficiencies on the cost side. It builds in efficiencies on the productivity side, not just for the bank, even for the intermediaries like dealers who in this ecosystem are operating. As far as the overall credit lending plans are concerned, bank has had robust growth rates last year as well, and we plan to take the growth rates even more further this financial year. Not higher than that.
Okay, with the kind of waiting periods that we're seeing and with the way the showrooms are so packed, I mean, no surprises that you're seeing such a big bump up in auto loan growth, right? All the best for the quarters to come and for your digital offering as well. But there's one